Discover the incredible twist. He laughed after his wife's 20M win until the judge revealed all. Daniel Thompson could hardly believe it. His wife, Sarah, had scratched off the ticket and let out a screech that could shake even the sleepiest Maplewood morning awake. "We've won. We've actually won," she said, bouncing around their humble kitchen. The sunlight streamed in through the window, illuminating Sarah's ecstatic smile, filling the air with pure, unfiltered joy. Two simple mechanics of life, hard work and dreams shared in the late-night hush of their living room, had just transformed into something utterly unbelievable. $20 million. It sounded like a movie plot, not the life of a mechanic and a schoolteacher in small-town America. They spent the day dreaming out loud: new cars, a bigger house, maybe even a vacation. Laughter filled their home, their tight-knit community and backyard barbecues, feeling more alive than ever. But as the days turned into weeks, Daniel's smile faded like a summer sunset. He could feel it, the subtle shift in their neighborhood's dynamics and the rising whispers. Friends turned into distant acquaintances. Squinty-eyed glances replaced warm-hearted smiles. The laughter once shared over the grill felt stifled, a bitter aftertaste left behind. Worse yet, Sarah, with her big heart and unwavering commitment to community, spoke about donating a significant portion of their winnings to build a veteran center. Daniel felt proud, yet panic gripped him. Do we really know how to handle this? He wondered. Their safety, their security, did it all vanish with newfound wealth? That worry gnawed at him like a stray dog at a bone. When Sarah announced her plans, the responses were a mix. Some nodded in approval, while others frowned, voices rising, saying people would take advantage of their generosity. The town meetings intensified, transforming into battlegrounds draped in jealousy. Conversations about wealth distribution, rights, and entitlement turned their good fortune into a stark spotlight of scrutiny. Instead of camaraderie, the atmosphere thickened with mistrust, and the couple felt increasingly isolated. A once buzzy community now felt like a heavy shell pressing down on their shoulders. Behind closed doors, their discussions grew heated about money and intentions and the lingering question, were they becoming charity cases rather than genuine helpers? Then, against all odds, their story landed them in a courtroom drama. The air buzzed with tension as a judge surveyed the proceedings, questioning the authenticity of Sarah's lottery ticket. Was it a legal purchase or a facade? Daniel's heart raced in quiet terror as words like fraud wafted through the courtroom. Friends from weeks before were now the accusers, the once supportive community leveraging their discontent like arrows aimed at fragile ideals. As the gavel came down, a heavy silence blanketed the room. Would they be seen as victims of jealousy or manipulative players caught in a game of chance? Daniel looked at Sarah, her face a mixture of defiance and fear. Would they emerge from this scrutiny united or shattered? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the truth was about to unfold, Daniel felt the weight of the world pressing down on them both. The storm of jealousy, betrayal, and doubt loomed closer than ever. In that moment, the couple stood on the precipice of a decision that would not only determine their fates, but the very community they sought to uplift. Would they discover their strength amidst the chaos, or would this unexpected twist reveal a darker chapter in their lives? The courtroom buzzed with anticipation as Sarah stood at the witness stand, her palms sweaty and her heart pounding. Every eye was on her, and for a moment, the harsh lights above felt blinding. Daniel sat behind her, wrestling with his own inner turmoil. He could feel the weight of every whispered accusation and side-eye that had been thrown at them since the win was announced. "Mrs. Thompson," the judge's voice cut through the tension, steady but firm. "Please tell the court about how you came to possess the winning lottery ticket." Sarah took a deep breath, the kind that filled her lungs only slightly, as if the air were pressed down by invisible hands. "I bought the ticket at the convenience store on Maple Avenue," she said, her voice shaking but steadying as she locked eyes with Daniel. "I wanted to surprise my husband. We've worked hard for everything we have, and I thought this could change our lives." As she spoke, Daniel could sense the disbelief and skepticism rippling through the crowd. It was palpable. He could see the faces of neighbors turned rivals, some with arms crossed, glancing sideways at each other, whispering. Once supportive, they now seemed like wolves circling their prey. The prosecutor leaned forward, brow furrowed as he asked, "And is there any supporting evidence for this claim? Are there receipts? Witnesses?" The words stung like sharp daggers, and for a split second, Daniel held his breath. Sarah kept her composure, though her eyes flickered with uncertainty. "I can show you my bank statements." "I bought it on the day of the win," she replied, her voice regaining its initial fire. "But I didn't imagine it would matter. I didn't foresee," her voice trembled. "I didn't foresee this kind of doubt in our community." The raw emotion in her words hung thick in the air. Daniel recalled the joy they once felt, the unadulterated happiness of winning. But now it felt twisted, misrepresented. Their dreams overshadowed by a cloud of suspicion. He shot her an encouraging look. "You've got this," he whispered under his breath, though he wasn't sure if the words were for her or for himself. Minutes morphed into hours as testimonies blurred into one another. Along the way, a few friends had come forward, a mix of supporters and critics. Some spoke of how Sarah had always lent a hand, how she organized community events and gave to local charities. Others echoed the prosecutor's doubts, suggesting she was playing a scam, hiding behind a facade of kindness. Daniel's heart sank, feeling every betrayal like a weight in his chest. Just then, a man stepped to the stand, a neighbor and friend, Kevin. "I know the Thompsons," he announced, his voice steady. "When I heard about their win, I thought it was fantastic. But I also heard rumors. I thought it was just that gossip. I didn't want to believe that someone I considered a friend could." He hesitated, scanning the room. "Could what, Mr. Harris?" The judge probed, leaning closer. "Could lie about something like this?" The room erupted in murmurs, and amidst the chaos, Daniel felt a flame of anger flare in his chest. Friendships built over years had crumbled into uncertainty. This wasn't just about a ticket anymore. It had become a defining moment that ripped through the heart of their community. They were no longer just Daniel and Sarah. They were symbols of a rift, a profound reminder of jealousy, mistrust, and the fragility of human relationships. Daniel clenched his jaw, determination flooding back. They would not be defined by the whispers or the shadows others cast upon them. Yet, as the hearing dragged on, doubt crept back in. What if Kevin, too, was just a pawn in someone else's game? Would they leave this courtroom in shame, or would they prove their innocence, their integrity, and their commitment to each other and the very people who had turned their backs on them? As the judge prepared to deliver a decision, Daniel glanced at Sarah. They both knew their fight was far from over. Would they reclaim their narrative or watch their love unravel amidst the chaos? A sudden realization hit Daniel like a storm. Could the community, fractured and unforgiving, be united again if they triumphed today? As the gavel resonated in the room, the tension thickened. What awaited them on the other side of this verdict? The gavel struck, and the room fell silent. The sound echoed like a heartbeat, each tick of the clock amplifying the fear in Daniel's chest. Sarah held her breath, her eyes darting between the judge and the crowd. It felt like time was suspended, the weight of those stares pressing down on her shoulders. After careful consideration of the evidence presented, the judge began, and Daniel felt his pulse quicken. Hope and dread swirled inside him like a storm. The judge continued, "I find that while there are discrepancies in Mrs. Thompson's account, the essential evidence of her purchase stands. The ticket is valid, and the win belongs to her." Relief washed over Daniel, but it was fleeting. The murmurings in the courtroom didn't fade, rather, they intensified. The wrapped gift of good news was quickly unwrapped to reveal wrinkled tensions and shading doubts. But the judge raised a hand, silencing the crowd. "This court is aware that winning the lottery is not the end of uncertainty. Your integrity has been questioned, and this matter is far from settled." Sarah's breath hitched. It wasn't just a victory. It felt like a spark in a room filled with dry wood. Would it ignite the community's trust, or burn their already frayed relationships further? The case is hereby adjourned, the judge declared, but I encourage the Thompsons to provide transparency about this win. It may be the only way to heal the divide. As the courtroom emptied, the air felt thick. Daniel reached for Sarah's hand, squeezing it tightly, but even that small gesture felt weighed down by the atmosphere surrounding them. "I'm proud of you," he whispered, his voice barely louder than a breath. Sarah's eyes shimmered with gratitude, but also fear. "But what do we do now?" she asked, glancing towards where the neighbors loitered in small groups, their conversations animated and sharp. "We show them who we are," Daniel replied, his voice firm. "We let them see what this win means to us to help our community, to lift each other up." Sarah nodded, but the doubt lingered in her heart. Would their intentions matter? How could they turn a win into something that built bridges instead of barriers? Their lives were now a public spectacle, their journey intertwined with every whispered rumor. As they walked out of the courthouse, Daniel's heart raced with determination. They passed Kevin, who stood with a group of friends, their faces scrutinizing. "This isn't over," Daniel muttered, instinctively pulling Sarah closer. Would they be able to reclaim their lives in the glare of gossip and suspicion? When they reached the car, a chill of uncertainty swept through Sarah. "What if we can't change their minds?" she asked, biting her lip. Daniel paused, looking at her intently. "We focus on what we can control. We'll find ways to do good with this. What if we start with that community center we talked about?" His optimism felt like a lifeline tossed to her in turbulent waters. Sarah took a breath, feeling the spark of hope flicker again. "Yeah, we could sponsor events, fund projects," but as she spoke, a dark thought crept back in. "And what if they still don't accept us?" "Then we fight harder," Daniel said, his resolve unshakable. "For each other and for our community." They drove in silence, the weight of the verdict still hanging in the air. A million thoughts spun through their minds, questions left unanswered. The world around them felt different now, with judgment swirling in every glance. As they turned the corner onto their street, Daniel's heart sank at the sight. Neighbors had been gathered, but now the mood was tense, some faces shielded with disapproval, others masked with concern. Could they really bridge the chasm that had formed? Just then, he spotted a figure approaching their driveway. It was Lisa, the town's unofficial leader, a woman who had rallied support and built connections over the years. She seemed determined and yet uncertain. "Hey, Sarah. Can we talk?" Lisa called out, her tone oscillating between cautious and urgent. Daniel felt a surge of hope. This could be the moment they needed. But as he looked at Sarah, he could see the flicker of fear in her eyes. What would Lisa say? As they stepped out of the car, the crowd behind them seemed to lean in, anticipation tightening around the air like a rope. Would their world shift yet again? Was this the chance to mend what had been broken, or would it shatter into more pieces? What awaited them in this crucial conversation? Sarah took a step forward, her heart racing as she met Lisa's gaze. There was a flicker of recognition in Lisa's eyes, a shared history between them that felt like ancient air. They had grown up together, been friends, shared secrets over endless summers. But now the chasm of suspicion loomed large. "Of course, Lisa," Sarah replied, her voice steadier than she felt. She glanced at Daniel, who gave her an encouraging nod. Lisa approached cautiously, her face a mixture of concern and curiosity. "I heard the news. It's a lot to take in," she said, her hands tucked into the pockets of her jacket. The chilly air felt electric as every word hovered above them like a fragile glass bubble. "It's overwhelming," Daniel said, stepping in. "But we want to make this right. The judge mentioned transparency, and we're ready to be open with everyone. We want to help." "Help?" Lisa echoed, tilting her head slightly. "You want to help the community?" "Yes," Sarah added, feeling the warmth of hope urge her forward. "We've been thinking about the community center and how to support local events. This could be a way to bring us all together instead of pulling us apart." There was a visible tension in Lisa's posture. Her brows furrowed, showing doubt. "That's a noble idea, but just saying it won't change the minds of the people who are angry." They need more than promises. A murmuring rippled through the crowd, some voices sharp, others low and uncertain. Sarah could feel their eyes on her, dissecting every word she spoke. Maybe we could hold a town meeting, Daniel suggested, his voice rising above the whispers. Invite everyone. We can lay everything out on the table. How we won, what it means to us, and how we want to use it for good. Lisa crossed her arms, contemplating. It's a start, but you need to understand. Not everyone will be on your side, especially right now. There are people who think you cheated or got lucky. The weight of her words hit Sarah hard. But we didn't cheat. We just wanted a fresh start, a chance to do something meaningful. We know that, Daniel interjected, sensing Sarah's frustration boiling. We don't plan to hide. We want to face this with transparency, but we need support too. We didn't choose this suspicion or the scrutiny. We just want our lives back. Lisa nodded slowly. Maybe if you share your plans, people will see you're serious. Give them something tangible to latch onto. The crowd shifted, some members nodding slowly as if contemplating their words. Sarah felt a rush of energy at the thought. What if we invite the community to brainstorm ideas? Like a celebration that marks a new beginning? It could be a way to involve everyone, let them see how committed we really are. Lisa's expression softened, the walls around her seeming to waver. A community event could help. If done right, it might just give you a fighting chance. But be prepared. If it fails, it may tear things apart even more. Daniel looked at Sarah, understanding the risk, but feeling a surge of determination. We can't let fear dictate our actions. This is our home. We want to rebuild trust, no matter how much it hurts. Sarah took a deep breath, her resolve crystallizing. Then we'll plan it. We'll face whatever comes our way. As they stood together, the murmuring crowd seemed to quiet, absorbing their words. Daniel turned to the gathering, excitement battling tension. We'll announce it at the diner at noon tomorrow. It's time for a new chapter. But just as he spoke, Sarah noticed a familiar figure lurking at the back of the crowd. Kevin was there, arms crossed, eyes narrowed. She felt her face flush with apprehension. Would he rally others against them? Before she could voice her concern, Lisa spoke again, her voice firm. You know this one, be easy. There are forces mixing under the surface. You have to watch out. Daniel looked around at their neighbors, realization sinking in. Would they be able to withstand the upcoming storm of resentment and jealousy? Yeah, we know, Sarah replied, a tremor in her voice. But we need to try. For our own sake, we have to believe. In this community. As they started to walk back towards the car, the weight of the conversation hung heavy in the air. Would their efforts truly lead to healing, or would they trigger even deeper divides? Just then, Kevin stepped forward, eyeing Daniel with a challenge in his gaze. So, you think you can just win everyone over with a party, huh? What about the truth behind that ticket? The crowd fell silent, the tension palpable. Sarah felt her heart leap into her throat. How would they respond? Could they truly stand together against what was about to unfold? Would Kevin's words unravel their fragile plans? The air was thick with uncertainty as Kevin's challenge hung between them. Sarah's stomach twisted at his words. The crowd, now uneasy, shifted its focus. The moment felt like a wave building, ready to crash down at any second. Daniel stepped forward, holding Kevin's gaze. This isn't about the ticket. It's about all of us moving forward. The past doesn't define our future. His voice was strong, like a protective shield thrown up against the gathering storm, but Kevin wasn't swayed. You expect us to believe that? You think we're just going to forget how you got so lucky? People are going to want answers. His voice dripped with disdain. Sarah felt a fire ignite inside her. Who are you to judge us? You don't know what we've been through. Her voice trembled, but there was a strength there, too. We're here to make things right, not to tear the community apart. That's your choice. Some murmurs surfaced in the crowd, a mix of agreement and backing chaos behind Kevin. Sarah noticed Lisa standing off to the side, her expression a mix of sympathy for Sarah and confusion about where she stood. Sarah, maybe you should take a step back, Lisa said, her voice low. No. Sarah snapped, surprising even herself. No more running away from hard truths. We're all tired of hiding. People need to see that we're not just some lucky winners. We are part of this community. Just then, an elderly woman piped up from the back of the crowd. I remember you two as kids. She waved her hands, drawing everyone's attention. You were good kids. I remember the summer fairs and how you helped set up. We need to focus on what we can do together. Her words kindled a spark. Sarah felt the weight lift a little. Would they rally around the good memories instead of the shadows of doubt? Kevin scoffed. That was a long time ago. You can't buy loyalty or trust with nostalgia, sweetheart. Why not try? Lisa interjected, her voice sharp now. You're forgetting that people change. They can rebuild trust. But they won't tea if you keep throwing stones. A moment of silence fell over the crowd, and then another voice broke through. A young man, arm crossed much like Kevin's. You think we feel safe celebrating with you? We need proof of honesty, not just pretty words. The crowd murmured their agreement, and Sarah felt the atmosphere shift once more. Fine. We'll provide proof, Daniel said, his voice steady and clear. We'll host a community event and open our lives to everyone. Join us in sharing our plans and celebrating. If it fails, at least we tried. But if it works, maybe we can actually heal together. Sarah saw heads start to nod. Maybe they were getting somewhere. Hope flickered, but in the corner of her eye, she caught Kevin's disdainful sneer. Good luck with that, he said, derisively sliding back into the crowd. No one's going to trust you just because you throw a party. Determination settled deep in Sarah's heart. We'll show you, she whispered under her breath as she watched Kevin blend into the restless crowd. As they turned to leave, Daniel put a reassuring hand on Sarah's shoulder. We can't control others' opinions, but we can control our actions. Let's get to work on this event, and maybe we can win some hearts. Right, Sarah agreed. And we'll need everyone's input. We should start reaching out. Each step felt bolder, fueled by the idea of building something together. But as they walked away, a constant nagging thought lingered at the back of Sarah's mind. What if their efforts weren't enough? What if Kevin was right and the odds were stacked against them? The path ahead felt daunting, yet it was also filled with uncharted potential. With every ounce of courage she had, Sarah took a deep breath. There was so much to do, and time was not on their side. Just then, a figure approached them from the corner of her eye. It was Lisa, her expression serious. I think we should meet tonight. We need a solid plan before everyone gathers. As they nodded, a thrill of concern gripped Sarah. Would this plan bring them closer to rebuilding what they had lost, or would it unravel into chaos when they least expected it? Let us make sure we're ready, Daniel said, determination lighting his eyes. And in that moment, as shadows flickered around them, Sarah realized that the hardest battles often brought the greatest transformations. But the question loomed, would they be transformed for the better, or would the storm of resentment tear them apart before they had a chance to prove themselves? The night air was heavy with tension as Sarah, Daniel, and Lisa gathered in Sarah's living room. The lamp cast a warm glow, but anxiety danced in the corners of her mind. Chairs creaked as they settled in, and the unease hung thick, almost tangible. All right, Sarah began, her voice steady but tinged with nervousness. We need to come up with a plan for the event. Everyone's emotions are running high, and if we don't address this carefully, it could backfire. Daniel nodded, flipping open a notebook. Let us set our goals first. We need to show everyone that we're committed, that we genuinely care about rebuilding this community. Lisa leaned forward, the weight of their shared mission reflected in her eyes. We should also share our experiences. Let people see the real us, not just the winners they perceive. They need to understand why we want to give back. I like that, Sarah said, feeling a surge of hope. We can share personal stories, maybe even invite people to share theirs too. We can show them that we all have our struggles. As they brainstormed ideas, Sarah felt the warmth of camaraderie begin to dissolve her earlier fears. They sketched out plans for booths, games, and even a small stage for sharing stories. The more they discussed, the more excitement bubbled in the room, replacing the doubts that had haunted Sarah since the confrontation with Kevin. But just as she began to envision the possibilities, a sudden thought crushed her optimism. What if they poured their hearts into this event only to face more rejection? What if Kevin and his followers turned the whole thing into a spectacle of ridicule? Do you really think it'll work? Sarah voiced her concern, the flicker of doubt creeping back in. What if everyone just shows up to mock us? Or worse, what if we lose our chance to really show them that we care? Daniel's gaze softened. People will surprise you. We can't control how they react, but we can control how we present ourselves. If we approach this with sincerity, that energy will resonate. Lisa chimed in, "You've faced challenges before, right? This is just another step in overcoming them. Besides, we're in this together." The strength in their connection warmed Sarah's heart. She sighed, feeling her shoulders relax slightly. They could create something meaningful, despite the looming shadows of doubt. "So, what is our timeline?" she asked, bringing the focus back to the task at hand. The three of them painted a vivid picture of the event, mapping out ideas and bringing life to their plans. They envisioned community involvement, local music, and even food trucks filled with flavors that echoed memories of summer fairs long gone. As the clock ticked on, Sarah felt the energy in the room pulse with determination. Together, they poured creativity into every detail, their laughter breaking the tension as ideas flowed freely. Eventually, they paused, each of them absorbing the magnitude of their ambition. For the first time since their public fallout, there was a lightness in the air. But just then, the doorbell rang, shattering their moment of tranquility. Who could that be? Sarah wondered aloud, exchanging uncertain glances with Daniel and Lisa. "Do you think it's?" Daniel started, but the words hung in the air, heavy with implication. "Whatever it is, we have to be ready," Lisa said cautiously, her nerves on edge again. "We opened ourselves up tonight, and I don't think it's just about planning anymore." With a hesitant gulp, Sarah approached the front door, heart pounding. She couldn't shake the feeling that this visit could either derail their plans or, perhaps, offer a chance for unexpected redemption. She swung the door open, and there stood a familiar figure. Kevin, arms crossed, an unreadable expression on his face. The look in his eyes sent Sarah's heart racing. "We need to talk," he said, his tone uncharacteristically subdued. What could be on his mind? Would this be another round of accusations, or something deeper? The tension around them thickened, and Sarah felt the weight of what lay ahead. What could Kevin possibly want? Now? Sarah's breath caught in her throat as she stared at Kevin. His posture was guarded, but something in his eyes hinted at vulnerability. The room behind her felt miles away, the lively plans they had just discussed fading into the background. "What is it, Kevin?" Sarah managed to say, her heart racing in anticipation. He shifted his weight, uncrossing his arms as if breaking down a barrier. "I know I've been a jerk. Ever since, well, everything, I've realized I took things too far." His voice was low but steady, and for a moment, doubt flickered in Sarah's mind. Could he really mean it? "Why no?" Daniel asked, stepping closer, a protective edge to his tone. "What changed?" Kevin took a breath, his gaze flickering between the three of them. "Honestly, I've been thinking about all the hurt. I've been seeing reactions from people in the community. They see you guys making an effort, and I can tell you, it's different. It's making people think." Lisa exchanged hesitant glances with Sarah and Daniel, a swell of hope tinged with wariness rising in the room. "Are you saying you want to help?" she asked carefully, her voice barely above a whisper. "No," Kevin admitted, the honesty in his eyes surprising them all. "I just wanted to apologize. I was too proud to see the bigger picture." The silence stretched thickly, and Sarah struggled against the unexpected swell of emotion. Her cheeks flushed, a mixture of relief and disbelief coursing through her veins. "Apologies don't fix things, Kevin," Sarah said, her voice steady but shaking. "You can't just walk in here and expect everything to be okay." "I know," he replied, glancing down before locking eyes with her again. "But I want to help you guys with the event. I want to be part of rebuilding. I want to fix this." The weight of his words hovered, like clouds before a storm, yet there was something raw and sincere about his admission. It felt surreal, like he had stepped out of a shadow she had always assumed would linger. "Why would you want to do that?" Daniel asked, clearly skeptical. "I've got a lot of losing people in my life, family, friends who want to come back," Kevin said, emotion bubbling up within him. "But watching your passion, your determination, it's made me rethink my own choices. I've been given chances that others haven't had. Maybe it's time I start showing up instead of tearing people down." Lisa's expression softened as she processed his words. "Okay, but it's not just about helping with the event. We need trust to rebuild anything." Kevin nodded. "I understand that. You can ask me anything. I can be transparent." The discussion unfurled further, with questions flying back and forth. Each word layered upon the last, building a potential foundation, fragile yet promising. Sarah was torn, a part of her wanting to embrace this new Kevin, while another insisted she remain cautious, shielding her heart from the hurt of past betrayals. Suddenly, Kevin's phone buzzed in his pocket, jolting the moment. He pulled it out, glancing at the screen, a grim expression clouding his face. "I need to take this, but I'll be back." "Why?" Daniel blurted, frustration creeping in. Kevin raised a finger. "Because it's about the event, about the community. I can make things happen, but not alone." The look he threw over his shoulder as he walked away was a mixture of hope and desperation. Left in the living room, Sarah could feel the unsteady foundation of trust they were just beginning to build. A flicker of hope gripped her heart, but with it came the weight of uncertainty. "What do we do now?" Lisa asked, breaking the thick silence, her eyes darting between Sarah and Daniel. The quiet intensity hung in the air, and Sarah knew that this moment felt like a crossroads. They could either embrace this new chance for healing or tread carefully and risk losing another shot at redemption. "What if this is our moment?" Sarah finally whispered, feeling the fragile thread of possibility weaving through them. But would they dare to grasp it? And what would happen if they did? The question lingered in the air, heavy with implications and fragile. Hope. The silence stretched on, lingering like a fog in the room. Sarah could hear her heartbeat, each pulse echoing the uncertainty hanging in the air. Daniel's brow furrowed, and Lisa's fingers fidgeted with the hem of her shirt. Each of them caught in a whirlwind of thoughts, fears, and shattered hopes. What if Sarah started but hesitated, her voice wavering? What if he really means it? What if this is a chance? Daniel crossed his arms defiantly. "What if he's just playing us again, Sarah? You saw how quickly he changed. One moment he's angry and pushing us away, and now he's ready to help." Lisa shook her head, glancing back toward the door where Kevin had just exited. "He did apologize. That's a start, isn't it?" A loud sigh came from Daniel, frustration spilling over. "Yeah, but we've been down this road before. Trust takes time. Is it worth the risk?" "Isn't everything worth a risk?" Sarah countered. "We've been fighting for this event, for our community. If Kevin really wants to help, maybe we should give him a chance." They all pondered, the mental chess games swirling around them. Sarah could see the tension between Daniel's protective instincts and Lisa's cautious optimism. It reminded her of how they used to work together, brainstorming ideas at the kitchen table, laughter and determination lighting up their faces. "Okay," Lisa finally spoke up, her voice softer, yet firm. "What if we set some rules? Clear boundaries? If he steps out of line, we reevaluate." Daniel mulled it over, his skepticism battling with the glimmer of possibility budding within him. After a few moments of silence, he nodded slowly. "Maybe we do give him a shot, but we keep our guard up." Sarah felt a flutter of hope. "That sounds fair. It's not just about us, it's about the community. We have to think bigger." Just then, the door swung open and Kevin stepped back inside. His expression was a mixture of apologetic and energized, as though he carried both the weight of his past and the spark of new beginnings. "Sorry about that. It's a lot of moving parts, but I've just talked to a few contacts. We could really make something bigger happen." His eyes searched theirs, seeking acceptance. "What is your plan?" Daniel asked, voice steady but curious. "Part of it involves getting the community more involved. Not just in fundraising, but in the event itself," Kevin explained, moving closer. "I know I can help bridge gaps. It's time for people to see they can support each other." "But you understand," Lisa interjected cautiously. "This is not a one-man job. We all need to be on the same page." "I wouldn't want it any other way," He replied sincerely, nodding. I don't want to lead, I want to collaborate. A palpable tension filled the space as they all absorbed his words. Could he really mean this? Was there a chance they could work together and rebuild trust? All right, let us say we're on board, Daniel said, still eyeing Kevin skeptically. What is our first step? Kevin's face lit up as he unfolded ideas, each word stronger than the last, full of energy that had somehow been missing in the past. They discussed timelines, roles, and responsibilities SSKS of life crafting away at the shadows of doubt. But as laughter began to rise and the tension started to lift, Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. It was as if the shadows were whispering secrets she wasn't ready to hear. Just remember, she said, her voice steady, we're doing this for the community, not for you or me. We can't afford to let personal feelings cloud this. Kevin nodded, the weight of a past he couldn't shed lingering in the air. The conversation shifted to more planning, hopes mixing with the tension still present. As they laid out plans for the event, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of something monumental, or, perhaps, something catastrophic. Would this truly be the beginning of healing, or was it setting the stage for new conflicts? What they didn't know was lurking just beneath the surface. Would Kevin really change, or would old habits rear their heads again? The days rolled into each other, a blur of meetings, calls, and the hustle of planning the upcoming event. At first, sparks of excitement danced in the air when Kevin shared ideas and laughter erupted within their small group. Yet, as the weeks passed, that laughter felt thin and stretched, like a rubber band on the verge of snapping. Sarah had hoped this could be a fresh start, but doubt wrapped around her like a cold blanket. They were making progress, but every smile exchanged with Kevin felt weighed down by the remnants of his past mistakes. Daniel was increasingly wary, often catching Kevin's eye, searching for cracks in his newfound enthusiasm. One afternoon, as Sarah assembled flyers for their community outreach, she caught a glimpse of Daniel deep in conversation with Lisa. Their heads leaned close together, expressions serious. Curiosity pricked at her. She felt like an outsider even in her own team. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. Hey, what is going on over there? She called out, attempting to lighten the mood. Lisa turned, and for a split second, Sarah thought she saw something flash in her friend's eyes. Concern? Fear? It was gone as quickly as it appeared. Just talking strategy, Daniel replied, a hint of defensiveness in his tone. Sure, strategy, Sarah murmured, not convinced. Maybe she was overreacting. Maybe this was normal, the growing pains of trying to build something new with Kevin at their side. Still, the uneasy feeling sat at the pit of her stomach, stubborn and lingering. Later that day, Kevin came in, his expression triumphant. I developed a partnership with a local business, he announced, his voice booming with pride. They're sponsoring the event and providing supplies. Sarah felt a surge of gratitude mixed with skepticism. That's great, but how did you pull that off? I just talked to the owner, we connected, Kevin said, the confidence radiating off him. They want to contribute to something meaningful. Lisa smiled, but Sarah could see the tension in her shoulders. That's fantastic, but we can't forget our original vision. It's about the community, not just sponsorships. Kevin's smile faltered for a moment, but he quickly brushed it off. Of course. I believe in this just as much as you do. The meeting ended with cautious optimism, but as they left, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Every step felt heavier. What was behind all this sudden change? Was it genuine, or a facade that would crumble under pressure? As the team split up, Daniel hung back. Look, Sarah, he said, voice low. I don't trust him. Not yet. There's something he's not telling us. Trust takes time, she replied, but uncertainty clung to her words. Something doesn't feel right, he insisted. His voice carried a weight that made Sarah's heart race. We need to dig deeper. What if he's just using us again? They stood in the dwindling light of the setting sun, shadows taking form around them. The last flickers of warmth began to fade, leaving a chill in the air. I don't know what to think, Sarah admitted. That night, Sarah lay awake, thoughts swirling. A chance for redemption? Or a prelude to betrayal? Lurking in the back of her mind was the nagging question, was hope blinding them? The next morning, the air was thick with tension as the team gathered again. Sarah felt the eyes of her friends and colleagues on her, waiting for a decision. Could they push forward? Or did they need to pull back and take stock? Then, just as the meeting began, a noise startled them. The door swung open violently, and a figure stormed in, a furious Kevin with a phone pressed tightly against his ear, panic etched into his face. "What now?" Sarah whispered, her heart pounding. Kevin's expression shifted to one of sheer terror as he glanced at them, not hearing the quiet rumble of confusion in the room. "Please, just listen," he begged, voice cracking. What had he gotten himself into this time? What lay beneath the revelations they thought were already behind them? Kevin's words danced in the air, swirling with chaos and uncertainty. His face was flushed, and the tension in the room felt electric as they all waited for him to explain. "I need to talk to you. I didn't want to bring this up," but Sarah swallowed hard, dread pooling in her stomach. She glanced at Daniel, whose eyes were filled with concern, mirroring her own anxiety. "What is it?" she prompted, trying to keep her voice even despite the tremor. "It's about the sponsorship," Kevin said, his voice shaky. "They pulled out. The owner got cold feet, and now they're saying they can't commit." Gasps broke from the group, and Daniel stepped forward, arms crossed tightly over his chest. "What do you mean they can't commit? You said everything was fine." "I thought it was fine." Kevin's frustration bubbled over. "But I heard some rumors. People in the community, they're not happy about us working together. They think I'm just using you too." Sarah's heart sank. All the collaborative energy they'd built in those weeks felt like it was unraveling right before her eyes. "Who?" she asked, urgency laced in her tone. "What are they saying?" "It's a mix of gossip and doubt. People think I'll just use this event to get in good with the community, to flip the narrative in my favor," Kevin admitted, his hands trembling. "I didn't mean for it to go this way. I swear I wanted to help." The weight of disappointment pressed down hard. But before Sarah could process, Daniel interjected, concern flaring again. "We can't let this derail everything we've worked toward. We need to rally the community, more than ever. They can't see us as divided." Sarah nodded, her determination rising like a wave. "Right. If Kevin can face the backlash, then so can we. We need to come together and show the community that we are committed to something bigger." Kevin looked relieved, but still tense. "I can talk to people and clear the air, explain my intentions." "Do it," Sarah urged, her resolve unwavering. "We all need to reach out. Each of us. We need to transform the narrative from jealousy to collaboration." As they brainstormed on how to confront the doubts, Sarah felt a surge of hope stirring again. They might be treading through muddy waters, but together, they could find their footing. Over the next few days, they mobilized the community. They set up meetings and spread flyers. They held forums to encourage people to speak their minds and share their stories. This time, they weren't hiding behind walls of uncertainty or jealousy. They were transparent, standing tall and ready to listen. At every turn, Daniel provided steady support, grounding her when her heart started racing in doubt. "This is it. We're reclaiming our purpose," he said one evening, as they prepared for the first event, and as they walked into that bustling diner filled with familiar faces, their neighbors, their friends. Everyone they once knew. Sarah felt fear slip away and a sense of empowerment take its place. "Here we go," she said, taking a deep breath, meeting Daniel's gaze. The initial conversations were tense, veiled distrust lingering like fog. But as stories were shared, laughter broke the wave of solemnity. Kevin stepped up to speak, recounting his struggles and his mistakes, shattering the assumptions that had colored his presence. "I know I've lost trust," he said with honesty, his heart laid bare. "But I want to rebuild that. Together, we can create something good." The shifts in the crowd came slowly, but like a growing ember on an unsteady flame, they felt the warmth of unity begin to take hold. Sarah could see faces softening, connection replacing anger. As the night unfolded, she watched neighbors laugh and rediscover their shared history, the bonds they had once cherished. Old friends became allies again, hope twinkling in the air like stars appearing after a storm. By the end of the night, Sarah felt the atmosphere around them shift dramatically. They had faced their doubts head-on, and slowly but surely, the walls began to crack. "I think we did it," Daniel said, brushing strands of hair from her face, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "Yes, we did," she agreed, buoyed by the connections revived and good intentions laid bare. They stepped outside, the cool night air brushing against their skin, but as they made their way home, an unmistakable figure hovered in the distance. Kevin. He seemed relieved yet uncertain, like he was still trying to gauge how to fit into this newfound unity. Sarah felt a flicker of compassion for him. Maybe, just maybe, he had turned a page too. Over time, they worked together relentlessly, each small victory reinforcing their resolution to thrive together. But one thing remained ever present, their unity still fragile, as if it could break at the slightest touch. They all knew that relationships built through trust could still falter, but they had come too far to step back now. As the final preparations for the big event unfolded, whispers of gratitude filled the air. They were still two unlikely couples, aspiring to make their communities whole again by capturing every single piece of their lives, their determination, their kindness, their frailties. The day of the event dawned bright and hopeful. A rich tapestry of community flowed around them, fueled by newly shared stories and visions for the future. And standing there amidst laughter and support, Sarah realized it wasn't just about the money or the ticket anymore. It was about coming together, transforming their fates. They embraced the journey, shadows clinging closer as the crowd celebrated. Hope wasn't just flickering now. It gleamed like a beacon across their small town. They felt it. They were not just surviving. They were thriving, hand in hand, together forging a new definition of community. And in that moment, Sarah knew one thing for sure: the power to create change lay in camaraderie, determination, and the real magic born of genuine connections. Let that be your call to action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support is crucial. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. We want to hear from you. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Don't miss your chance to be part of something special.